Good evening. So I'm the Assistant Director of Regeneration and Asset Management at the Council, and I'm going to give you a whistle-stop tour of what's probably the most familiar of all of the entities in the York Central Partnership, which is the City of York Council. And we are the democratically elected representatives of the people of York, but we are quite a complex organisation. We have a number of roles within the York Central Partnership. So just to take you kind of whistle-stop tour through how local democracy works, the full council are the ones who will take all of the big financial decisions around any investment that the council might make in York Central. But delegated down to the executive, which is the primary decision-making board, are all of the other decisions beyond that. So there's a scheme of delegation at work that flows down through the executive. We also have ward councillors, a number of whom are here today, who have a big role in engagement with their communities and representing the views of those communities through to the executive and through to the full council. On a project as long-term and as important and as significant as York Central, there is also the need to ensure that cross-party working is undertaken to enable us to be able to provide that long-term commitment. And then the lowly officers, of whom I am one, are the ones who actually implement the decisions of that council as delegated through its executive. In addition to that democratically representative role within the city, the council is also the custodian of the heart of the city. And I put on there the York 800 logo just to remind you how long the city has actually been charged with the responsibility for running the city. So it's now, I think that was back in 2012, so we're 800 and a bit now. But we've been here a long time, and of all the partners, we are the most likely to be here in the very long term as well. So the ones who are going to stick it out right to the very end. So in addition to those roles, we also are on this scheme are the conduit for a significant amount of funding from central government and from other regional bodies. So the site is an enterprise zone, which brings with it the retention of the 50% of business rates that would conventionally flow back down to London. That stays in the city for all of the business rates that are generated in York Central, and that gives a significant amount of future revenue to fund the enabling infrastructure for the scheme. We're also a housing zone for the site, which brings with it the engagement of Homes England and supporting funding from that agency. And we are the member of two local enterprise partnerships in the Leeds City region and North Yorkshire and East Riding, who have both given grant funding and loan funding towards the scheme. A number of other large chunks of money coming from the West Yorkshire Combined Authority to fund the access infrastructure, and then other supporting financial support from the Cabinet Office and the LGA towards some of the very early scheme costs. So as a conduit funding, we've currently brought in about £35.6 million to date, and we're awaiting a decision next week from Homes England and Central Government on the Housing Infrastructure Fund, where we've made a bid for £56 million, which would be another significant contribution. We are also an investor and enabler of the scheme, and the council put aside £10 million to fund the early stages of this scheme to enable it to be got away. And a small landowner on the site. We own 5% of the land on York Central, much of which was purchased specifically to bring that land ownership within the control of the three or four parties to the partnership agreement. And on top of that, we step into a slightly different set of roles as a statutory body, as a highways authority responsible for delivering and adopting the highways infrastructure, and as a local planning authority who will sit completely independent from any of these other roles in determining the planning application. So the council's ambitions for York Central are fairly wide-ranging, and I've used the icon there for One Planet York, which is about a comprehensive way to shape places and deliver quality communities. And our ambitions for York Central are to seize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to shape a new piece of York and create it as a place that will have regional, national and potentially international significance, with a wide range of good quality and affordable housing for all ages, and perhaps considering a way of urban living that's relatively new to York, but is certainly well tried and tested across the continent. Driving economic growth through the creating of new modern working spaces, and that's for new businesses, growing businesses within the city, and inward investment and attraction of new jobs into the city to provide a higher wage economy, or to increase the level of average wage within the city. Ambitions for good transport connections and good movement, with cycle and pedestrian and public transport being prioritised across the scheme, creating great new public spaces and parks, an improved gateway to the city, integrating the area with the surrounding city and with the surrounding communities in a sustainable, low carbon, energy efficient, ecologically sound way, and creating a place that is characteristically York but takes the opportunity that we have to shape in a new way, a new place in York, shaped by the people of York. So that's my 5 minutes.
Thank you.